that. Okay, welcome everybody. So my name is Casey Choate, and I am the Credential Supervisor at the County Office of Education. And with me today, I have Monica Robinson, my lead Credential Analyst. We are going to be presenting today adding additional authorizations to your California credential. So you will notice that the chat is disabled. However, we do have a question and answer. So please feel free to start putting questions in the question and answer. I'll be working on that while Monica is presenting. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Monica.
Welcome everybody. Today we're talking about adding authorizations, and there are 3 different types of authorizations. Number 1 is adding a full authorization to your current credential that you have. So maybe you have a multiple subject and you're now getting a single subject, or you have a single and getting a multiple, or maybe just a different subject area. The second one we'll be talking about is the supplementary authorizations, and that's via units and only units, not exams. And then the third thing is added authorizations and special education, how you go about earning those. Adding a full authorization. So it allows a teacher with a general ed credential to basically get more authorizations that they're able to teach without having to complete another teacher ed program. The prerequisite, they must have a valid basic general education teaching credential in order to go this route. A multiple subject holder can obtain a single subject by completing the following requirements. So the first one being CSET, so showing that the subject matter competence has been passed for the multiple subject, they're already going to have that. So now let's say they're going to add English single subject, they're going to need the English exams passed for CSET. The other way is if they complete a commission approved subject matter program, and they would get a verification from the college or university that they have met subject matter for that specific content from the education department. In addition to the exams or the subject matter competency via the college, they would need a 3-semester or 4-quarter unit course in methodology. It's a methodology pedagogy course directly related to the content area that's going to be sought. So if they're adding English, as we spoke about before, the methodology pedagogy course must be in the English content area. And the other thing that you need to meet in order to add the full authorization is that you have to already have your English learner authorization. So that has to be either the CLAD certificate or the English learner authorization already embedded in your program, in your document. So what about the other way around? If you have a single subject and you now want to get a multiple subject, how do you go about doing that? You are going to also pass the exams, this time the CSET exams for multiple subject. And if you don't do that and you don't do the exam route, you can also do the subject matter waiver program through a college, and then you would need to get the letter on letterhead from the approved person at the college to show that you met subject matter competency. In addition, you would need a 3-semester unit or 4-quarter unit course in methodology for self-contained setting. And you would also need the Developing English Language Skills course. You would need to pass an exam called RICA, Reading Instruction Competence Assessment. And you would also need to already hold your English learner authorization in order to go this route. Adding a full authorization for single subject, you already have a single subject. Let's say you have a single subject in English and now you want to add math. How do I do that? So you would take the CSET in math. So subject matter competency in the subject area sought is needed. And then you would need the 3-semester unit methodology pedagogy course in that specific content area. So You already had it in the initial area that you got it in, and now since you're adding another area, that content area, that methodology course must be in that area.
So Monica, we do have a question. Somebody who's interested in beginning work in special ed and they currently hold a single subject credential. Is that something that they can do?
So because you have a special ed credential, you can't jump from special ed to single subject or multiple subject without completing a program, unfortunately. This route is only for general ed teaching credential holders that are trying to get another general ed authorization. So in a special ed case, you jumping from general ed to special ed, you would need to talk to a college or university and they would do an evaluation, and then you would need probably about 24 units in the disability area that you're seeking. So let's say it's mild moderate, you would need all those units, you would need methodology, pedagogy courses there, and probably a separate student teaching. But again, you would need to talk to the California college or university.
We actually also have an intern program here at the County Office of Education. So if you already hold so you say a single subject English credential, basically you get not preference, but you get, there's certain things that you will not have to do. So you might want to also look into an intern program for the special ed portion since you already have a full teaching credential.
Okay.
Okay, we actually have another question. So
Okay.
if a multiple subject holder wants to add a full credential in social science, he or she can, 1, take the exam, or 2, take the courses. Either ways work, right?
So when you add a full credential, so let's say you have the multiple subject credential, you're going to get a whole nother credential, a single subject credential in the subject area that you're seeking. So the only way to do that is either via the CISA exam, or if you go to a college and you do all the coursework that encompasses the competency for that area, then they give you a letter on letterhead, but they have to have a subject matter waiver program and they determine if you're competent. We rarely see those. I think I've seen in 20 years, like maybe a handful of those letters. They're very uncommon. So it's usually the CSET results. And then in addition to that, it's the methodology, pedagogy course in the content area. We're going to talk about how to earn an authorization via units and only units right now. So that's what's coming. So how to obtain a supplementary authorization based on coursework. Now, a supplementary only authorizes 9th grade and below. So if you are interested in teaching above 9th grade level, you don't want to go this route. So what can you add a supplementary authorization to? You can add it to your multiple or your single subject teaching credential. And again, it's only going to authorize grades 9 and below. What are the requirements are that you have 20 semester units or 10 upper division units in specific content areas, and we'll talk about those shortly. You have to have a grade C or higher, or if you have a degree major, let's say you have a degree major in business, let's say you have a degree major in dance, it just depends on the area, but it can be that where we're not looking for every single unit and grade. So here you will be able to see, I know it's not as big as you would like it to be, but it's probably visible. So let's say you wanted to add a supplementary authorization in mathematics. You would need these specific units. So not just because you have 20 units all over the place are you going to qualify. Those 20 units have to be in the specific area. So you would need at least one algebra class, one geometry class, one intro math, or if you had 3 courses or higher of math, those would qualify, but you have to have 20 units total. So any other math classes that you have will count. as long as they're 100 and above, and those would count. Popular one is social science. A lot of people want to add social science, but they usually don't have the California history class. Usually that's the one that they're missing. So on the example of social science, you would need a US history course, a California history course, world history, geography, and US government. So that's 5 areas that you would need. If the classes are only 3 semester each, times 5, that's only 15. You would still need a total of 20 units or more. So the other units in social science can be separate courses in those areas.
Okay, we do have just a follow-up question. Why is this not a good route for those who want to teach above 9th grade?
Because this only authorizes you to teach 9th grade and below. So if you want to teach at the high school level, let's say you want to teach health, 10th grade content, 11th grade content, whatever the content is for that grade, you're not able to do it. You can only teach 9th grade and below. So this is typically your middle school setting courses, and 9th grade and only 9th grade. This is specifically intro classes. It's very limited. So that's why it would not be the best route. Adding a specific supplementary authorization is a little bit different. Now, this one does allow you to teach up to the 12th grade, and it's also based on units. So the specific supplementary authorization has the same requirements, 20 semester units or 10 upper or a degree major. The specific supplementary authorization areas are a little bit different. So on the other chart, you saw all the intro classes. These are specific courses such as woodworking, child development, psychology, speech. The laundry list is pretty long there, but maybe you had a minor in journalism. This is a way that you can add those areas that you want to teach in. These are very specific. A specific science, let's say you don't want the intro science where it's 9th grade and below and it only lets you teach 9th grade intro middle school science. This science specific supplementary authorization will allow a specific science, so a biology, a chemistry, and so on and so forth, that will let you teach up to the 12th grade. These are the worksheets, and they're a resource for you to use. So how do you apply for this added authorization or supplementary authorization? You will need to provide a $100 money order or cashier's check payable to the CTC. You will complete a 41-4 application form. You will need official transcripts to verify all the coursework that you did and that's required. The CISA exam score report, you would need a copy of that, and then evidence of holding the EL authorization. So that's what you would need. The county could issue you a temporary. Adding an authorization to a special ed credential. So this one is a little bit different. We wanted to give you the information because we get asked all the time. So this is for holders of special ed credentials, not general ed credentials. The prerequisite is that you have a special ed authorization. So this is for an educator who has a valid credential and wants to teach in another disability area. This is a way that they can add an authorization. The educator has to possess a valid internship, preliminary, professional clear, or live special ed teaching credential, or even a speech language pathology or clinical or rehab services credential with a special class authorization. These are the 6 areas that are out there that can be added to somebody's special ed credential. There's an area in autism, deaf, blind, emotional disturbance, orthopedic impairment, other health impairment, and traumatic brain injury. So how do you go about getting an added authorization in special education? You have to complete an approved program through a program sponsor. So some colleges offer it, as well as the San Diego County Office of Education. They have an added authorization program. So upon you completing all the requirements, you will earn an added authorization, and the teacher effectiveness unit that handles this would prompt you to get an email, and you would make the payment that way. And then you would have another authorization to your special ed credential. If you are interested in their program, their email is there. The program is completely online if you want to add anything else to your special ed credential. The resources for everything out there, including the worksheets and all the information, are found on our website, as well as the Commission on Teacher Credentialing website. The leaflets and worksheets are referenced there. So if you need more information and more details, you're welcome to visit the websites.
So Monica, we actually had a question about adding a bilingual credential or an EL credential to an existing credential. So I know we didn't discuss that today, but would you be willing to talk a little bit about what the requirements are for that?
So to add an English learner authorization, you could either take coursework, which is the English learner coursework known as the CTEL coursework through a college or university, or you could take the CTEL exams. There's 3 of them. And then upon doing so, then you can apply for the English learner authorization. If you're coming from out of state and you already have it on your document from out of state, then it's simply just providing the evidence, a copy of the out of state certification and application and fee and all of that, and you could transfer it over. There's an equivalency chart on the CTC website that you can look at. If you believe you've met the requirement and have it on your out of state document, then you can apply that way. The bilingual authorization, also, if you met that out of state, there's an equivalency chart, and then that's met by the CTEL and the CSET exams. For more information, you can find it on the CTC website as well as our website, and you're welcome to reach out and email us or call us as well.
Thank you very much. We do have some other questions here. Do I need to take the math CSET to get a mathematics supplemental credential for teaching only 9th grade?
So 9th grade, you could do the 20 semester units to earn the authorization that way, or you could take the foundational level math CSET exams, not the full math exams, but the foundational level math exams. And then you would need 1 methodology pedagogy course. So you've either got 20 semester units to add a supplemental 9th grade and below units only, or you could take the CSET exam and 1 course, methodology pedagogy, in the content area being math. And that is how you would meet either the supplemental route by units only, or adding a whole nother credential authorization via CSET and 1 course.
Okay, we have another question. You may have already touched on this, but how can we determine if we have the correct units for a supplemental authorization? Is there a list of specific classes? All my classes are from out of state.
So basically, there is not a key or a list of what classes are acceptable. The worksheet that I showed you earlier is where you would plug in all the courses that you believe that you hold. They're usually out of the department that you're seeking. So if you're seeking a English authorization, they're usually going to be out of the English department, and they're going to be 100 or above. Usually the class will say, the course title will say what the course is, and it's pretty easy to determine. If you believe that the course title does not indicate what area was met, you do need to provide course descriptions, course catalogs, syllabi, any supporting documentation to prove that it's that class. So how do you know? Fill out the worksheet, order all your transcripts, and our office will look it over. I mean, if there's 20 units required and you only have, you know, half of them, we're obviously not going to process it. But if you think that you have it all, go ahead and apply. We'll evaluate it and we'll go from there.
Okay, I had another follow-up question about the EL. So is there an additional charge for out-of-state EL certification on the 41-4 application, or is the $100 application fee, does it cover it?
So if you are applying for, let's say, your multiple subject or your single subject credential, and you also have the EL met out of state, you can mark both boxes. If you're applying at a separate time because you say, oh man, I didn't know that I could transfer it over, and now you want to apply for it, you're only going to mark the EL authorization on the application 41-4.
So every time you submit an application to the commission, usually you can add several changes to the same thing. So if you're adding your multiple and your EL, there's no additional fee for that. All right, so I have another question. Just to clarify, for the bilingual authorization, if we just pass the 3 CTEL exams, is that enough?
No, you will also need CSET exams. There is a leaflet with more information, so you'll need other exams in addition to the 3 CTEL exams. The 3 CTEL exams only allow you to apply for an English learner authorization, not a bilingual one.
Okay, the next question is, I have a preliminary credential and still need to complete induction. Will this interfere with applying for a supplemental authorization?
If that's your only requirement, it shouldn't. If you have other requirements, then, you know,
It
it
does,
may.
yeah, it does interfere when you're trying to add a full authorization, but I've never seen it be a problem when you're adding a supplemental authorization based on units. So I don't think that should be an issue. All right. So somebody's asking about a direct link to the CTC website. So if the CTC website is www.ctc.ca.gov. It's on the screen now. If you go in there, there's actually a search button at the top. You can just type in supplemental authorization and it'll give you a couple different options. But the presentation or the forms that we gave you today should be out there. If you can't find them, email our office and we'll be happy to send them to you. Our email for our office is SDCRED, so SDCRED, cred, SDCRED at SDCOE.net. So if you want to email us, we'll be happy to send you those forms to you. All right, and I do not see any other additional questions. So I think at that point, we are going to end the webinar, and we appreciate you guys coming in and watching the webinar today. We hope you have a wonderful day. All right, thank you.